Hey, Sean here from speedqbreview.com. I'm going to go through all of the CMLL algorithms for Roux that I use. Now, I'm not going to go through in a typical order. I feel like the way you should be learning algorithms is by finding things that are similar, not just going through all of this type of case, all of like the H cases, all of that. I'm going to put up all the algorithms on the screen, hopefully if they fit, and we're going to kind of go through them in a certain order, but then if it's able to offshoot to make things easier, I'm going to do that. A couple things I'm going to go through first. A word that I'm going to be using often is opposite and adjacent colors. Opposite colors would be blue and green, or orange and red. Adjacent would be red and blue, blue and orange and green, or green and red. Now I'm always going to do it with yellow on top, but I might not always have the exact same color in front every time. And if you watch my beginner Roux tutorial, you already know some algorithms and you should be able to recognize them with either yellow or white on top and bottom. So just a quick review of some of the algorithms. There's 42 for CMLL and 2 of them are just J and Y Perm for opposite corner swap or adjacent. So opposite corner swap, Y Perm. We talked about in the beginner Roux tutorial, and J Perm, like that. And you recognize those by noticing for J where the opposite colors are and another side is adjacent, or you can see where there's headlights. And for the Y Perm, opposite colors on every single side. One of the easiest places to start is the H cases because there's only 4 of them. And we'll start off with, I would say, the easiest one, which is F, sexy move 3 times, F prime. You can recognize it by having matching colors on the same side that you have headlights, and their opposites on top, so orange and red or blue and green. And on the sides, you'll have the matching colors as well. So you put the headlights in the front and back and do sexy move 3 times in between an F and an F prime. Now this is where I'm going to offshoot because you should also know F sexy move twice, which is this case where we have headlights on one side and the top color pointing on the others. And what you look for here on the top is matching colors where you have the top color pointing out and opposites where the headlights are. So you put the headlights on left, F, sexy move twice, F prime. And lastly, F, sexy move once will solve this U case where you have matching colors where the headlights are and opposites on the right. If you learn my beginner Roux tutorial, you already know these algorithms. So now it's just coordinating which algorithms go with which specific cases. Okay, with those down, we're going to move on to some of the other H cases. And one of them is just Sune that cancels into another Sune. So I'll do the full algorithm first. And what we're looking for is where we have matching colors on the top, but this time instead of them being where the headlights are, they're on the other side where there's one of each kind where the headlights are. One thing you can also check is the colors on the side. The case we had before, these matched, but now they are opposite. And if I do the algorithm in 2 parts, we just do Sune once, and then Sune again. Well, they cancel out a little bit, so the algorithm is just that. And you put the headlights on left and right, just like that. 2 of the other algorithms for the H cases. One of them, I'll write the algorithm down. We have R prime, F2D, R2U, R2, D prime, F2R. And I do that D prime pushing with my ring finger. So the way you can spot this is by just looking for the matching bar. And the matching color is on 2 opposite sides of the headlights. So they're not going to be here and here, they're going to be here. And you put on the right side, R prime F2 D, R2U, R2, D prime, F2R. This is one we're going to take as a little side step, because if we do the exact same thing backwards, or one thing you can think of is just reversing the U move that's in the middle, we'll solve this pi case. And for this pi case, you notice that you have the opposite colors in diagonal spots. So green and blue, you might also see orange and red. And so it starts the exact same, R prime, F2, D, R2, but now we do a U prime and then reverse those moves. And you can just practice those back and forth, setting up the pi case and then back. Okay, and now we get to the last H case. And this one we have matching colors on the same side the headlights are. So only one pair of matching colors, could be blue, green, orange, or red. And for this, we're going to do all wide R moves. These ones are a ton of fun, where we put the headlights in the back and do R, U prime, R2, D prime. And I push with my left hand. R, U prime, R prime, D, R2, U, R prime. And this is one where we're going to actually solve 3 different CMLLs with the same case. So if we do that exact same algorithm again, we get this pi case where we have matching colors on the top and the bottom, where there's matching colors where we have the top color pointing out and the headlights. And we put that in back, and we do the exact same algorithm, but instead of a U prime in the middle, we do a U. So R, U prime, R2, D prime, R, U, R prime, D, R2, U, R prime. And then if we do a U2 instead of a U or a U prime, we get one other case, which is the T case, where we have opposite colors on top and opposite colors on back. We put that in front, and we do the exact same algorithm, but with a U2. So that one you can just do over and over to set up, or you can do the one with just a U or a U prime to set up the H case, or do it again to set up the pi case. Okay, so we have learned all the H cases plus some. So let's talk about the pi cases. So we only have 3 cases left. One is where we have the pi case and we have only one set of matching colors where the headlights are. So if you had matching colors in the back, that'd be different, but you only have one set of matching colors, and these could be whatever. There could be opposite. They're not going to be adjacent, so I'm not even going to worry about that. We put the headlights in the front, and I separate this algorithm into a few parts. I do R prime, U prime, then I do sledgehammer, R, U prime, and then it's an insertion of this pair in the back, R prime, U2R. And you can set it up and redo it over and over again for that. Okay, and for these last 2 cases, they are mirrors of each other, and I do right and left-handed algorithms. This is not super common for other people. I have no problem doing this one, and I'll show you what I do. So for this, we have matching colors in opposite corners, and these 2 cases will look the exact same with opposite colors, with the matching colors in opposite corners. So what we want to do is whatever side I'm going to be turning first, I put the color that's on top facing out on that side. So for example, here's headlights on left, and we first take out a pair by doing RU to R prime. So there's that pair. And then U prime, RU, R prime, U2, then you insert with sledgehammer. So for example, here it is again. Take the pair out and then insert it back in. So if you do that exact same algorithm, you can do the mirror of it, and I like to just do it with my left hand. So we have pi case with the headlights on the right. And one thing to tell the difference is the matching color is going to be in the back and then the front of the headlights. So for example, you can't do it this way because you need that matching color on the back of these outside, I guess the top of the pi symbol, and then on the front where the headlights are. So this would be the left-handed version. Again, I take the pair out. U, L prime, U prime, L prime, U2, sledgehammer. And that is all of the pi cases. For this video, don't worry about learning them all in one go. Some of them I'm going to spend a little more time talking about. Some I'm going to talk about for 5 seconds, show the case, and move on. Take your time with it. You could learn it in a day depending on your previous knowledge, but just go through little by little. And the way I present this, I think is a good way of going about learning them. Okay, so now we have U cases, and we've already learned one U case with these matching ones on the left and opposite colors on the right, like that. There are 6 of these cases. So now the next one I'm going to show is one that you might already know if you started learning CFOP first. So let me set this up. And it's where you have headlights and you have adjacent colors on the top. So green and red, green and orange, blue and red, or blue and orange. And what I look for is that that same color is going to be on the right side. So that's not the same color. We have red and red. And this algorithm, it's basically setting up for a commutator. So it's conjugate and a commutator, but that's more information than you really need to know. So we have R2D, and then R prime U2 R, D, R prime U2, R prime. And this is one where you're basically learning 4 cases with one algorithm. And if we do that same algorithm again, we're basically setting up this L case where we have matching colors on top. And again, I'm going to put the opposite color on the right side. So instead of being what we had with the U case where it was matching and then matching, this will be matching on top and then the opposite color on the right. So if these were blue or green, that color would be blue or green. Now we do the algorithm in reverse. So we're going to do R U2 R D, R prime U2 R, D prime R2. And this is going to be the same thing mirrored. Now I will sometimes do it with my left hand depending on what my grip is like. So for example, if you have this case again, where adjacent colors on top, red on the left, you could do that same thing with your left hand, but for a lot of people, it's easier to do it all with the right hand. So I'm going to put that in back and red, and we do the exact same algorithm we did to start for that other case, but where things are mirrored from front and back. So now we're going to do R2, and I'm with my ring finger, D prime, R U2 R prime, D, R U2 R. And again, we do that algorithm. We set up this L case, red's on top. So I'm going to make sure that the opposite color is on the right, and do the algorithm backwards. So that is 4 cases, and you can just do it over and over again, setting things up and then solving it. Same thing on the right side, and then, whoop, did the wrong algorithm. There we go. And then solving it. And then same thing on the right side, setting it up, and then solving it. Okay, let's talk about another U case, which is pretty much 2 Sunes back to back. And they cancel into each other, not as much as that one H case did. And I'll set this up first. When we have opposite colors on top and a matching color in back, we're going to put the headlights in the back. And we're going to start with doing a Sune from the back. So we're going to do R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R, U2, R. And then we have another Sune case from the front, R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And those 2 R's cancel into each other in the middle. So from here, we solve it like that. And this, if you do that algorithm, you'll notice you also get a T case where when you have matching colors on top and matching colors in back, you do the exact same algorithm backwards. So R, U2, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R2, and that goes right into another Sune. So when we have this case, we do Sune starting from the back. And when we have the U case with matching colors, we do it from the front, but doing Anti-Sune. And we have one other case where we have matching colors on top and matching colors in back for this U case. This is a lot easier than COLL, which is setting up to a Y permutation. This one, it's a little bit of a funky alg, but it flows really well. So we're going to do F, R2, D, R prime U R, D prime, R2 U prime F prime. And it's one of those ones that it almost looks the same going forwards and backwards. Like that. So we put the headlights on the left. Just like that. So the first I'm going to start with is the one that we learned in the beginner tutorial, which is Sexy Move Sledgehammer. So let me set this up. And where we have adjacent colors on top. And what I do is I match up the same color on the front, so red and red. So this way wouldn't work because that's blue and green. So we have this T case, red and red, Sexy Move, Sledgehammer. And again, this is going to solve another case. Now, if you would like to just learn these straight through and not go through the way that I'm suggesting teaching it, I'll have a link to my SpeedCube DB PDF where you can just take that, print it out, learn them at your own pace, however you'd like to do it. So this L case, when we have opposite colors on top, I put whatever color matches one of those in front, so blue and blue, and we're going to do reverse sledge, reverse sexy. So F, R prime, F prime, R, U, R, U prime, R prime. So sexy sledge solves this case. And then sledge sexy solves the other one. Now this is one I don't do the same algorithm for some of the mirrors. So for example, when we have matching colors on the front, but on the left side, I will do sexy sledge with my left hand. However, I don't do reverse sledge, reverse sex with my left hand here because I find a different algorithm is just a little bit faster for me. And you could do that, but when we have the opposite colors on top, and I set it up in this case where I'd almost say it's like an L that's been flipped upside down and the matching colors on the right instead of in front, it's the first half of a Y perm. And that's what I teach in my beginner tutorial. Okay, so this next case is actually what I will often do for COLL. It's not the best algorithm, I would say, because it's using R and L moves, and it's definitely one of my slower ones. However, I really do like the way it flows, so I enjoy using it anyways. And that's where we have opposite colors on top and matching colors in the back, or, in the back compared to where those are. And so I put the T on the top, and basically it's taking a pair out. So R prime U R, U2, pairing it up, inserting that pair again. So R prime U R, and then reinserting this pair, U prime L. And you can just practice that over and over again to get that more into your fingers. And the last case. And so there's actually only one other case we haven't learned yet. And it's a really fun one. You're not going to do wide R moves, but it feels very similar to that. And it flows like this. For this case, we have matching on top and opposite colors on the other side of where the T is. We do this algorithm of R prime D, R, U prime, R, U, R prime, U, R prime, D prime, R. And it flows really nicely. Now, so another U case where we have opposite colors on top and then opposite colors on the other side of it, we're going to do this really fun algorithm where it's R prime D, R, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U, R prime, D prime, R. And it flows super nicely, where when I set it up, we have this case. And just like some of the other ones, the opposite of it gives you this T case, where we have a matching on the right side and opposite colors on the left. We're going to do the exact same thing, but instead of doing a U prime, we're going to do a U. Like that. And it flows really nicely. You don't need to regrip your hands at all. Okay, so we've just learned all of the T cases. Okay, now we're on to L cases. And for L, we've already learned a lot of them because they were opposites of ones that we already did. There's only 2 cases left for this because there are 6 total. And there are both cases where we have adjacent colors on top, red and blue, red and green, orange and blue, or orange and green. And all I'm going to look for is this corner opposite. So if the colors here are not the same colors, I'm going to do a U2. So we want the colors in the front right to be the same colors. And this alg, it's just 2 gen, meaning R and U moves. We're going to do R, U, R prime, U, R, U prime, R prime, U, R, U prime, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. This is really good for one-handed as well, if you want a good one-handed algorithm for this case. And you can just keep doing it over and over again to set that up. The other one would be the exact same adjacent colors on the top, but you have the same matching colors on the front here. So the L case is facing you like this. And you're taking a pair out, R, U2, R prime, that goes right into sledgehammer, and then reinsert R, U2, R prime. Really fun case to do. And we are all set with that. Now we just have Sune cases. And Sune cases are one of the things that people seem really scared about. And it's not that difficult. So I am guilty of doing right and left-handed algorithms for this for 2 reasons. One, I feel completely comfortable doing it. But also, there are some cases that are for the righty Sunes that you do with your left hand anyways because it's a much better algorithm. So you might as well just flip them anyways. That's my opinion on it. I'm not a world-class Roux solver, so take that with a grain of salt. And all of these cases are mirrored with the left hand. So I'm just going to go through all 6 Sune cases for the right side, or regular Sune, not anti-Sune. So what we're going to look at are the colors on top and sometimes a color that's on the right here. We have opposite colors on the top. So when you see that, opposite colors on top and opposite colors here, you do Sune, and that's it. So same thing with the left hand. You see that? Now you could just do, instead of this, you could do anti-Sune with the right hand, and that will also solve the same thing. Okay, so when you have that same case, opposite colors on top, but matching colors here, you're going to start with the U2. And we take this edge out by doing RU, R prime U, sledgehammer, and then reinsert this edge with RU2, R prime. And this is going to be the exact same thing on the left side. So I can set it up by doing the exact same algorithm. And on the left side, we have opposite colors, and they're matching here. So U2, take the edge out, sledgehammer, reinsert the edge. Okay, so now we're going to talk about when we have opposite colors on top. So when we have opposite colors on top, if these two don't match, and I'm talking about on top by having Sune in sort of a, I'm going to say a natural Sune way. And when you have opposite colors on top and these don't match, you do what a lot of people call Nicholas as the name of this alg, which is R, U prime, L prime, U. R prime, U prime, L prime. And if you want to balance it out, you can do a U at the end, but that's completely unnecessary. Same thing on the left side, opposite colors on top. These are not matching. And the other case where you have opposite colors on top, but these are matching, you'll start with a reverse sledgehammer, and then U2, insert that edge again, just like that. So same thing on the left side, opposite colors, these colors are matching. You're going to first do reverse sledgehammer, and then reinsert that edge. So you can see the algorithms are actually quite easy for this. And I don't think it's any more difficult to notice the pieces. We only have 2 more cases, and then we are done. Okay, and this is going to be if we have opposite colors on the right side. So what I'm going to look for are these two colors on the left and the front. If they are not matching, we're actually going to start with movements on the left hand. So we are going to do L prime, U2, L, U2, and then sledgehammer to insert this pair. Now what you might notice is this is the exact opposite of the alg that we just did. So when we do this case again, we take the edge out and then reinsert it with a sledgehammer. And we can do the same thing on the right side, where when we have the case where we have opposite colors here and opposite colors there, we take the edge out on the right side and then reinsert with sledgehammer. And what you notice is that is the exact same algorithm we just did, just inverted for the other case. So that other case where we just talked about a little bit ago, we would do the exact same thing where we would start with inverse sledgehammer and then reinsert the edge. So that's one of those, again, mirrors. Okay, the very last one is the longest algorithm of all of these, but not too difficult to do because it's sexy move, sledgehammer, followed by Sune. So I'll do the left-handed one first just because that's a little more awkward. Opposite colors on the left and the matching colors on this front left and back right. So I'm going to do sexy move, sledgehammer, Sune with my left hand. Or with your right hand, this is one that I don't know anyone else that does that with their left hand, so just a warning, there are other algorithms if you don't feel comfortable with your left hand. However, this is one that I think is good to practice anyways with both hands. However, like I said, I'm very much in the minority with this, but you can set it up with your right hand and then solve it with your left hand. And that is all the cases. The rest of Roux is more of an intuitive step. But those are all the CMLL algorithms in the way that I think would be really helpful to learn them. In the description, you can find a link to an algorithm PDF that you can print out and check things off as you go. And on SpeedCubeDB, there is also a whole list of a bunch of other algorithms if you want to check other ones out. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future. And as always, stop by speedcubeview.com for more news and reviews. Holy, that was a long one.